What is the Bhagavad Gita? Now imagine standing between two armies, not metaphorically, but literally. The earth trembles beneath thousands of chariots. War elephants shift their weight in restless anticipation. Horses snort and paw at the ground. Armor glints beneath the rising sun. Standards bearing the symbols of ancient kingdoms sway in the morning wind. Across the field stand teachers who once offered instruction, friends who once shared meals, cousins raised in the same royal household, and elders whose blessings once shaped the course of childhood. The air is thick with expectation. No sword has yet been raised. No arrow has yet been released. Yet history has already reached a point from which it cannot easily return. A conch shell sounds, then another. Soon the battlefield is filled with the chorus of war horns echoing throughout the plain. What had been political tension becomes unavoidable reality. Negotiation has failed. Reconciliation has collapsed. The greatest conflict of an age is moments away from the beginning. At the center of this immense army stands a single warrior. His name is Arjuna. For generations, he has trained to become one of the greatest archers in the world. His courage is unquestioned. His skill is legendary. His reputation extends across kingdoms. If any man appears prepared for battle, it is Arjuna. And yet, as he surveys the armies before him, something unexpected happens. His certainty disappears. The warrior who has spent his life preparing for combat suddenly questions whether he should fight at all. His limbs weaken. His mouth grows dry. His famous bow, the Gandiva, begins to slip from his hands. His thoughts become clouded by grief, compassion, fear, and moral uncertainty. He is no longer asking how to win. He is asking whether victory itself would be worth the price. It is at this precise moment before the first arrow is released that one of humanity's most influential philosophical conversations begin. The dialogue that follows has been studied for more than 2,000 years. It has inspired saints and soldiers, kings, monks, political revolutionaries and spiritual teachers, poets, philosophers, scientists, and psychologists. It has been translated into hundreds of languages, quoted in universities, recited in temples, debated by scholars, meditated upon by millions. For many Hindus, it is one of the most sacred texts ever composed. For philosophers around the world, it is among history's greatest explorations of duty, action, knowledge, devotion, selfhood, and liberation. Yet despite its immense influence, surprisingly few people know what the Bhagavad Gita actually is. Many assume it is the Hindu equivalent of a single revealed scripture. Others imagine it to be a little more than a manual encouraging people to perform their duties. Some reduce it to a book of inspirational quotations. Others know it only through isolated verses shared online, detached from the dramatic story in which they originally appear. These impressions contain fragments of truth, but none adequately explain the text itself. Before we can ask what the Bhagavad Gita teaches, we must first ask a simpler question. What exactly is the Bhagavad Gita? Is it primarily a religious scripture, a philosophical dialogue, a work of epic literature, a political reflection on kingship and justice, a manual for yoga, a theological revelation, a poetic masterpiece, or is it somehow all of these at once? Even this question requires caution. The Bhagavad Gita has been interpreted in remarkably different ways throughout history. Some readers understand this battlefield literally. Others see it as simultaneously historical and symbolic. Some emphasize discipline, action. Others place supreme importance among devotion to God. Still others understand its deepest teachings through the lens of non-dual philosophy. These interpretations are not identical, and responsible investigation requires us to distinguish between what the text explicitly says and how later generations have understood it. My purpose is neither to defend nor dismiss the Bhagavad Gita. I am not approaching it as a missionary seeking converts, nor as a skeptic seeking flaws. I'm going to begin somewhere far simpler and more demanding. I began with questions. What kind of document is this? Who composed it? When did it emerge? Why was it placed within one of the largest epics ever written? How has it been preserved? What does the Sanskrit words actually mean? Where do historians broadly agree? Where do traditional commentators disagree? Which ideas belong unmistakably to the original dialogue, and which belong to the centuries of later interpretation? Throughout these videos, we will distinguish carefully between the 4 different kinds of evidence. First, we will examine the source text itself. Whether necessary, we will return to the Sanskrit, compare multiple English translations, and consider how particular words shape the meaning of entire passages. Second, we will explore the historical context. We will investigate what historians, archaeologists, and textual scholars can responsibly say about the world in which the Bhagavad Gita emerged, while acknowledging where certainty gives way to probability. Third, we will examine interpretation. The Bhagavad Gita has never existed in a vacuum. For centuries, philosophers, theologians, saints, and religious communities have wrestled with its meaning. At times, they have reached similar conclusions. At other times, they have disagreed profoundly. Their voices deserve to be represented fairly before they are evaluated. Finally, I'll offer my analysis. This is not an attempt to replace the traditions that have treasured the Gita. It is an effort to synthesize the available evidence, distinguish stronger conclusions from weaker ones, and clearly identify where genuine uncertainty remains. These 4 categories, source text, historical context, interpretation, and analysis, will remain separate throughout this video series. They are the foundation of disciplined investigation. By maintaining those distinctions, we will not seek only to understand the Bhagavad Gita more clearly, but also to model a way of studying any influential text with intellectual honesty, historical responsibility, and respect for those who hold it sacred. Before we can examine Krishna's teachings, we must first understand the book in which those teachings appear. Before we can investigate its philosophy, we must understand its place within a much larger story. Before we can ask what the Bhagavad Gita means, we must first discover what it is. And that investigation begins not on the battlefield itself, but within one of the greatest literary works ever produced by human civilization. In my next video, the Bhagavad Gita within the Mahabharata, I would explain the epic's scope, authorship traditions, literary structure, and why the Gita appears exactly where it does in the narrative before introducing the events that bring Arjuna and Krishna to the battlefield.